Red Bottle, Part 2, Part 1 down below. I tried to maintain a calm demeanor. It's our home, Wendy. And Kelly, she has a certain charm, doesn't she? Wendy's frustration was evident. She's not the kind of person I want in our house. The tension between us was growing, the presence of Kelly in our home amplifying the issues we were already facing. Let's keep things civil and try to be gracious, I suggested to Wendy, handing her 3 wine glasses and carrying the snack tray and wine into the living room. Wendy, her voice filled with frustration, followed me. John, I need to know what this is about, she insisted. Just relax for now, Wendy. Have a drink, and we'll talk, I said, trying to maintain a calm atmosphere. Kelly rejoined us after freshening up. She had toned down her makeup and straightened her outfit, revealing a more youthful appearance. I hope it's all right, I looked around. Your home is lovely, especially the nursery. How old is your daughter? She asked Wendy, engaging her in conversation. Kelly settled next to me on the couch, sampling the canapes and wine. She seemed at ease, removing her shoes and curling up comfortably. Wendy answered her question about Jeannie, who was with her grandmother, then hesitantly joined us in sipping her wine. Kelly commented on the wine. This is really good. Is it from Napa? It's French, I replied. Kelly praised the wine and then turned her attention to Wendy. You seem like a Pinot Noir person to me, nothing too strong, but full of flavor. Wendy nodded in agreement. Yes, I prefer Pinot Noir. I'm not much for whites or roses, and Cabernets are a bit much for me. As Kelly and I shared another canapé, she playfully accused me of trying to fatten her up. She then leaned against me, complimenting Wendy's taste in decor, wine, and men. The evening had taken an unexpected turn, with Kelly's presence in our home creating a mix of tension and surreal politeness. Wendy's confusion was evident, but she seemed to be trying to make sense of the situation, cautiously engaging in the conversation. Wendy, clearly upset, affirmed the strength of our marriage. We're happily married. Kelly nodded, understanding. I know. John mentioned how much he loves you. You're fortunate to have each other. I'm not here to disrupt your life. I understand its value. Wendy, her tone sharp, asked, What kind of person are you? Kelly gave a knowing smile. You already know what I do. Wendy's frustration boiled over. John doesn't need to pay for what he gets from me. I'm more than enough for him, much more than what you could offer. Kelly remained calm. I have no intention of getting involved with a happily married man. That's not my style. I respect your home, Wendy. Despite her words, Kelly's actions were more suggestive. She leaned closer to me, her hand casually stroking my chest. I couldn't help but respond, my hand resting on her waist. The phone rang, interrupting the escalating tension. Wendy glanced at me, puzzled by the late call, and went to answer it in the kitchen. Kelly took the opportunity to become more intimate with me. Just a $20 street worker, she said, a touch of sadness in her voice as she undid my pants. From the kitchen, I heard Wendy on the phone. Yes, he's back. No, he's not drunk, she reported. Kelly, now engaging with me physically, lamented. She's foolish for risking all this, for not appreciating what she has. As Wendy returned, her shock was palpable. What is happening here? She exclaimed, throwing the phone. I replied, maintaining my calm, it's just what you said was okay. It's not a big deal, right? Wendy's reaction was a mix of anger, shock, and disbelief. The situation had spiraled beyond her expectations, challenging her understanding of our relationship and the boundaries she had set. Wendy, visibly shaken and in tears, stood nearby as Kelly continued. How could you do this? She cried out, struggling to comprehend the situation. I replied, my voice tinged with anger. Think about your own actions, Wendy. Turning my attention back to Kelly, I added, please, let's focus. This is something I've been missing. Wendy hastily left the room, the sound of the bedroom door slamming resonating through the house. I anticipated the flurry of phone calls that might follow this event. Kelly paused for a moment, looking up at me. Are you really enjoying this? I am, Kelly. You're truly remarkable, I admitted, impressed. She smiled, a hint of sadness in her eyes. Is everything going as you planned? Far better than I expected. You're full of surprises. Kelly's expression briefly clouded with melancholy. Let's not dwell on that now. I want to focus on making this enjoyable for you. Her skill was undeniable, and it was bittersweet to consider how someone so young had acquired such expertise. As she continued, I was taken aback by her proficiency and enthusiasm, which were on par with, if not surpassing, what I had experienced before. I gently caressed her as she skillfully continued, her movements precise and attentive. Soon, I felt the need to warn her that I was close to finishing, surprised by how quickly I had reached this point. Kelly responded with a tease, no need to warn me. You have the full package tonight, John. She continued with her tantalizing actions. As I reached my climax, Kelly expertly managed the situation. Afterward, she sat up, straddling me and showing a sense of satisfaction. She then nestled against me, and I wrapped my arms around her, comforted by her warmth. Her purring in my ear and the gentle kiss on my neck added a touch of intimacy to the moment. I enjoy it too. The taste, the sensation. I'm here for more if you want, she whispered. The night had unfolded in a way I hadn't fully anticipated, blending elements of escapism, regret, and unexpected connection. Kelly's response to my compliment was playful. I did say I'm the best, didn't I? She giggled. When I tried to kiss her, she slightly turned her face, resulting in my kiss landing at the corner of her mouth. You're incredible, I remarked, acknowledging that some of Wendy's had been equally memorable in their own way. She laughed. Oh, you've just challenged me. Next time, I'll make sure you're absolutely breathless. I watched as she stood up gracefully and finished off the last of our snacks and wine. Thank you for this. It's been nice, she said, raising her glass in a small toast before giving me a peck on the cheek and taking the empty plate to the kitchen. After adjusting my clothes, I picked up our damaged phone, managing to put the battery back in place. The screen displayed in use, but I didn't feel compelled to eavesdrop on any ongoing conversation, though I did wonder about the content. In the kitchen, I found Kelly searching for something to eat. Hungry? I asked, amused. Just a little something for energy, she replied, biting into a piece of cold chicken. I offered her a napkin to clean her face. I'll cook a great breakfast for you. Bacon sound good. She grinned. I love bacon. Surprise me with the rest. As she drank milk from her wine glass, a small mustache formed on her lip. I reached over, wiping it away playfully. So, what now? She asked, leaning close to me. Let's go for round 2, I suggested, taking her hand and leading her towards the back of the house. The night continued to unfold in unexpected ways, blurring lines between comfort, escapism, and reality. The door to our bedroom was slightly ajar, likely due to my forceful exit the previous night which had damaged the door frame. I knocked softly and entered, Kelly following close behind. Inside, Wendy was on the phone, partly covered with a sheet. She hung up as we walked in. Her eyes, red and swollen from crying, met mine. Is this over? Have you finished humiliating me? She asked, her voice heavy with emotion. I'm not trying to humiliate you, Wendy. I love you. But I'm not done with my point yet, I replied, my tone calm but firm. Wendy's gaze shifted to Kelly, who was standing close behind me, our hands still intertwined. John, please, you don't need to do this. I'm sorry for what I did, Wendy pleaded, the distress evident in her voice. Despite her apology, the images and thoughts from earlier haunted me. You were with 3 different men, 5 times, I stated, testing her response. Wendy vigorously shook her head. I've never been unfaithful, John. They tried, but I stopped them. I've never let anyone touch me except you. I silently observed her denial. It seemed she still didn't understand the depth of her actions. I began to undress, and Kelly did the same, revealing herself. She's staying the night. We're not done yet. Wendy, now standing, her frustration boiling over, confronted me. Why are you acting this way? I lay down on the bed, my thoughts focused. 5 times, Wendy. 3 men. Her pleas continued. Please, don't do this. I remained resolute. You suggested I watch you with someone else. Now, I want you to watch. The situation was tense, the air thick with emotion and unspoken words. My actions, driven by a mix of hurt and a need to make a point, had escalated the situation beyond a simple conversation. Wendy's distress was palpable, but so was my determination to confront the issues in our marriage head-on. Wendy firmly refused, but under my insistence, she reluctantly sat down on the furthest corner of the bed, her face buried in her hands. Turning to Kelly, who was down to her underwear, I saw her playful smile. Should I take these off? She asked. Keep them on, I instructed. I want no question about our boundaries tonight. Kelly pouted playfully but climbed onto the bed, positioning herself between my legs. You better be ready for this, she teased. Her performance was undeniably impressive. She took her time, teasing and using her skills to build anticipation. Each movement was calculated and deliberate, heightening the experience. Wendy tried to look away, but I could see her stealing glances, her emotions a mix of curiosity and hurt. As Kelly's actions became more intense, I couldn't help but close my eyes briefly in pleasure, her technique surpassing anything I'd experienced before. Seeing Wendy attempting to leave, I firmly told her to stay and watch, insisting that this was no different than what she had suggested for me. Wendy protested, denying that it was her idea, her voice filled with regret. Kelly paused her movements, maintaining a rhythmic hand motion as she looked up at us. I reiterated to Wendy, anything you wouldn't do in front of me is cheating. Isn't that clear? Wendy's voice was barely above a whisper, pleading for the punishment to stop. I pulled Wendy closer, trying to comfort her while still maintaining my attention on Kelly. It was a conflicting moment, torn between the emotional turmoil with Wendy and the physical pleasure provided by Kelly. The night had taken a turn far from anything I could have imagined, leaving me to navigate the complexities of hurt, betrayal, and reconciliation. The intensity of Kelly's actions varied, skillfully prolonging the experience. She alternated between fast and slow movements, focusing on different areas, adding an element of surprise and excitement. Her playful teasing and deliberate techniques were both torturous and exhilarating. As the experience intensified, I felt Wendy's presence, her head resting on my shoulder. Her crying had ceased, and she seemed captivated by the scene unfolding before us. My arm wrapped around her, gently caressing the familiar contours of her body. Each time I neared the edge, Kelly would look up with a mischievous smile, playfully holding back, prolonging the moment. Not yet, she'd say, managing the situation with ease. I couldn't help but express my astonishment at her endurance and skill. You're incredible, Kelly, I breathed out, overwhelmed by the prolonged pleasure. Kelly's response was a mix of laughter and focused action. She continued with renewed vigor, fully committed to her task. Eventually, I reached a point of desperation, pleading with her. Please, Kelly, I gasped. Wendy, who had been silently observing, spoke up softly. Let him finish, Kelly. Kelly paused, looking up at me with a questioning gaze, waiting for my explicit plea. I'm begging you, I managed to say. Satisfied with my response, Kelly resumed with even more intensity. Her movements became more rapid, and I felt a surge of sensation. This is incredible, I reached the peak. Kelly continued skillfully as I experienced a profound release. I felt Wendy's grip tighten on me, her reaction palpable as she witnessed the intensity of the moment. The room was filled with a mix of emotions and physical sensations, creating a moment that was as complex as it was intense. The boundaries of our relationship had been stretched in ways I never imagined, leaving me to contemplate the repercussions of this night and the state of my marriage with Wendy. Kelly carefully moved up my body, showing me the result of her efforts with a satisfied hum. Wendy, visibly disturbed by the scene, turned her head away. As Kelly lay beside me, I instinctively put my arm around her. She snuggled closer, causing a reaction that Wendy immediately objected to. Don't touch her like that, Wendy snapped. Realizing Wendy's discomfort, I adjusted my hand to Kelly's waist in a less intimate gesture. You're right, Wendy. I'm sorry, I said, acknowledging her feelings. Kelly, still with my cum in her mouth, playfully resisted swallowing. Do I have to? She asked in a muffled voice. The situation was almost surreal, blending tension, regret, and absurdity. Wendy, her emotions fluctuating, struck me lightly. You enjoy this, don't you? She said, her voice softening. I thought you loved the way I did it. I did love it, Wendy, until it wasn't just for me, I replied, hurt evident in my voice. Wendy's apology was heartfelt. I'm sorry, John. I didn't realize the impact. I won't do it again. Why not? I asked, seeking to understand her motives. Because I hate what it's doing to us, she said, her voice filled with remorse. I love you, and I know you love me, despite everything. In a shocking turn, Kelly suddenly slapped Wendy across the face, admonishing her to stop lying. Wendy, stunned and angry, retaliated, causing a physical altercation between them. I quickly intervened, positioning myself between them to prevent further conflict. Stop, I yelled, pushing them apart. After a brief moment of calm, I turned to Kelly. Never hit my wife again, I said firmly, establishing a boundary. The room was charged with a complex mix of emotions: regret, anger, reconciliation, and confusion. It was clear that the situation had spiraled beyond anyone's initial expectation, leaving us all to grapple with the consequences of our actions and words. Kelly's outburst intensified the situation. She's just playing you, John. You deserve better than a cheater, she accused. Wendy retaliated, defending her actions. I'm not the one who's been unfaithful. I've never gone beyond boundaries like that. I turned to Wendy, frustrated by her lack of understanding. Really? What about your behavior at last year's Christmas party? Dancing provocatively with Dave. Wendy tried to downplay it. John, I was just dancing, and I apologized for that. It didn't mean anything. I recalled Misty's perspective on the incident. It seemed a lot more intimate than just dancing. You can't control how others react, but you were part of it. Wendy was defensive. I can't control their reactions, John. Why are you bringing this up now? I expressed my growing doubts. After that incident, I've been questioning if there's been more. If you've been faithful at all. Wendy was adamant. How can you doubt me? We were intimate that weekend. We even conceived Jeannie then. I couldn't help but question everything. But is Jeannie mine? Did something happen with Dave or someone else? I remember how you were at the pool party, and now I wonder about what you do when I'm not around. Wendy looked devastated by my accusations. How can you say those things? I've never been unfaithful. Do you really hate me now? I responded, my voice heavy with emotion. I don't hate you, Wendy. I love you, and that's what makes this so hard. Your actions with those men have left me heartbroken. She began to cry quietly. I haven't cheated, John. Those few incidents were just mistakes, nothing more. I felt a deep sense of loss. I always thought you were enough for me. Now, I'm not so sure. The room was filled with pain and regret. Wendy's tears, my own heartache, and Kelly's presence had created a complex and emotionally charged atmosphere. The foundations of our relationship were shaken, leaving us in a turmoil of hurt, doubt, and the struggle to find a way forward. Wendy's defense highlighted a stark contrast in perception. But their wives don't fulfill them like I do for you. They're jealous of what we have. After the parties, they only go home fantasizing about what you have every day. It's just harmless fun, she insisted. Kelly couldn't hide her disdain. This is unbelievable. Are you really going to stay with someone who thinks this way? She's not worth it, John. You can find better. Despite Kelly's words, my feelings were clear. I love her, Kelly. It's complicated. Kelly shook her head in disbelief. I suggested to Wendy, maybe you should go to the guest room. We can talk in the morning. Wendy was incredulous. You're sending me away from my own bed. I held her hand gently. I thought it'd be easier for you. I didn't want to cause you more pain. You're keeping her here, in our bed, and sending me away. Yes, Kelly will stay here tonight, I confirmed. I'll stick to the boundaries we've discussed. Wendy's voice was filled with sorrow. Why are you doing this? It's about what's been happening between us, I explained. I won't cross certain lines, but I need to make a point. Kelly, trying to lighten the mood, commented playfully on my compliment earlier. Wendy, I didn't want to hurt you by sharing our issues, but you've been open with our friends about our life. It's only fair that I confide in someone too, I reasoned. Wendy's reaction was one of hurt and disbelief. I gently lifted her chin, forcing her to meet my gaze. Kelly isn't just anyone. She's someone I chose to confide in tonight. The room was tense with emotions, regret, misunderstanding, and unfulfilled desires. The complexity of our relationship and the actions of this night had opened wounds that would need time and effort to heal. As Wendy left the room, the weight of our choices hung heavily in the air. Kelly kept the mood light with her playful banter. Don't forget our little wager, she reminded me with a giggle. I remember. The tip will be quite generous, I replied, acknowledging her skills. Wendy, determined not to be displaced, firmly stated, I'm not leaving my bed. Do what you must, but I'm staying. As I lay back, Wendy snuggled next to me, setting her boundaries clearly. No crossing certain lines, John. I can't handle that. Kelly, ever the provocateur, removed her underwear and playfully positioned herself, but I was resolute in my boundaries. I won't do anything Wendy hasn't done. Despite the temptation, I told her, playfully swatting Kelly's rear. Wendy, surprisingly, seemed to soften a bit. If you must, you can still finish with her. It's only fair since you're sharing with her what should be mine. I was taken aback by her comment. Really? She nodded, half teasing, half serious. Why not? You're already sharing so much with her. Curiosity got the better of me, and I reached toward Wendy, only to be met with a quick slap. But it was enough to confirm my suspicion. Wendy, you're actually turned on by this, I noted, surprised. Blushing, she admitted, it's been a long night, John. Watching all this, it's affecting me more than I thought it would. I reassured her. This won't last forever, Wendy. I believe we can still fix things. I love you, we just need to understand each other better. Will this end soon? Will you forgive me? She asked, a hint of hope in her voice. Kelly, sensing the shift in mood, renewed her efforts on me, but my focus was on reconciling with Wendy. I've already forgiven you, but we still need to work through our issues, I said, my attention split between the two women, each playing a different role in this complex emotional night. The tension in the room was palpable as Wendy asked, You're not going to continue doing this, are you? I was looking for the right answer from her, a sign of her understanding. Do you think this is cheating? I inquired, hoping she'd see the parallel with her actions. Wendy was stubborn, not fully grasping the irony. I sighed, feeling the weight of the moment. Kiss me, I said softly. Her lips met mine, hesitantly at first, then with increasing passion. The kiss was a brief respite from the complexity of the situation. Love only me, John. You don't need her, Wendy whispered, her voice laced with a mix of desperation and hope. Her plea was bittersweet. I don't need her, but she's undeniably skilled, I admitted, acknowledging Kelly's prowess. Wendy's insecurity surfaced. Am I not as good? I didn't respond directly, caught in the moment. Kelly's actions intensified, challenging Wendy's confidence. Wendy became increasingly distressed. Please, John, you have to stop this. I tried to reassure her. It's just this, Wendy. I love you. Kelly, fully aware of the impact of her actions, boasted about her skills. Wendy and Kelly exchanged sharp words, each asserting their roles in this complicated scenario. Kelly continued, showcasing her talent. You're incredible, I conceded. She finally eased off, commenting on my stamina and jokingly asking if I could endure similarly in other situations. Wendy's retort was sharp, you have no idea. Kelly's comeback was biting. I'm a professional, not a cheat. There's only one person here crossing lines. The tension in the room escalated, a mix of emotional turmoil, jealousy, and a struggle for validation. Amidst this complexity, I was torn between my love for Wendy and the immediate physical gratification from Kelly, each representing different aspects of my turmoil and desire. Wendy nestled closer, her voice filled with a mix of hurt and confusion. How can you say she's better than me? She asked softly. I responded, reflecting her actions back at her. How could you justify what happened with those men? Wendy attempted to minimize the seriousness of her actions. They were just fleeting moments, nothing significant. I pressed for more clarity. Were they? Did they compare to me? She quickly reassured me. No, John. It wasn't about that. They were just there, and I made a mistake. But it was nothing more than that. I swear. I struggled to accept her explanation. The breach of trust was already too deep. It's hard to just forget that, Wendy. Kelly's continued attentions made it difficult to concentrate fully on our conversation. Who was the first one, Wendy? Who made you cross that line? I asked, seeking to understand the full extent of her transgressions. Kelly's lighthearted comment briefly interrupted the heavy atmosphere, but I was focused on getting answers from Wendy. Wendy eventually confessed, it was Tom. He was persistent, and I just gave in. Her apology seemed sincere, but the damage was done. The complexity of our conversation, intertwined with Kelly's actions, created a deeply conflicting moment. As Kelly continued, Wendy's admission weighed heavily on my mind, adding layers of guilt, regret, and unresolved tension to an already complicated situation. The room was filled with a mixture of emotional turmoil and physical sensation, making it a challenge to navigate through the intertwining issues. "You fucking tore my heart out tonight, you bastard. I didn't do it to hurt you. I need to make things right between us," I explained. "I understand. It's cheating. I get it. Don't you believe that I really didn't think I was cheating on you?" I kissed her. Finally, maybe she gets it. "I do. But that didn't make it right. You hurt me. The most horrible thing I ever did. I know that now. I'll make it up to you, I swear. I'm yours, John, if you'll have me. Always." She hugged me tightly, burying her head in my neck. "I'll never let you go, baby. I love you too much. That's why it hurt so bad." She nodded. "Are we good now?" She sounded anxious. "Better. We still have to make things right." "Right? How?" "Aaron, Gerard, and Tom. Tom especially, he has to pay. Don't do anything stupid, honey. Please, it's not worth it," she whined. "Besides, they're our friends." "Stop saying that. Once they's not friends. You want to stay friends with them, that's fine. You can move in with them and all you want." Wendy shrank away from me and finally had the good sense to shut the hell up. Every time I thought things were getting better, she up again. Kelly came waltzing into the room with bottles of water in one hand and a half-eaten sandwich in the other. She tossed 2 of the bottles onto the bed, did a cute little spin, and practically danced into the bathroom. The night was a roller coaster of emotions, from pain and betrayal to understanding and tentative reconciliation. Our path forward was unclear, but the first steps towards healing and understanding had been taken. Wendy, still processing the night's events, asked about the financial aspect. "How much are we paying her?" "I've given her $200 already," I answered. "I haven't decided on the total yet." Reflecting on her own actions, Wendy commented, "That seems low. I wouldn't sell my services for $100, even if they're not as good as hers." "You shouldn't think like that. Yours are special because they're yours. They mean more to me," I reassured her with a soft kiss. Wendy, lightening the mood, teased, "So, what's my rate, husband?" I sighed, a bit frustrated. "Well, let's see. Between all our expenses, you're quite costly. But it's not about the money." As Kelly re-entered the room, Wendy's mood shifted to concern. "Should I leave?" Kelly asked hesitantly. "No, stay for now," I said, patting the bed beside me. Kelly's presence seemed to ease the tension a bit. She snuggled up to me, playfully commenting on our relationship dynamics. Wendy, half joking, half serious, handed Kelly a pair of more modest underwear. "Try these," she said, trying to bring some normalcy to the situation. Kelly obliged, switching to the plain panties with a humorous grumble. "Feels like high school," she quipped. As I asked Kelly to turn off the light and join us, the room settled into a quiet, contemplative mood. Kelly cuddled up, her earlier bravado giving way to a more vulnerable side as she quietly sobbed. Lying there, holding both women, I was acutely aware of the complexities and emotions that had unfolded throughout the night. In this unexpected arrangement, I drifted off to sleep, pondering the reconciliation and healing that lay ahead. I gently reassured Kelly, whispering softly, "Quiet," as I held her close, trying to offer some comfort. "Thanks for tonight," she murmured, her voice barely audible. "It's been a while since I felt something normal." Meanwhile, I could feel Wendy's body shaking with quiet sobs beside me. The situation was overwhelming. 2 women, each lost in their own emotions. "It's going to be all right," I whispered, my words a blanket of solace meant for both of them, even as I grappled with my own mix of feelings. My comment, betrayal, jealousy, forgiveness, and the gray areas in relationships led to all of this. Part 3 coming soon. Do you feel this OP did the correct thing? Comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one.